Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my Cerebralites. It is me, the Cerebral Diva, and I'm back with another episode of You Say What. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, You Say What is your opportunity to chime in, to leave your 2 cents, and to be a part of the discussion that is happening here on my channel within my community of Cerebralites. Having said that, before you go another further, do yourself a favor, and while you're at it, do me a solid. Take a second to hit that subscribe button. Once you've done that, take another second to hit that tiny little bell so you can turn on your notifications, and that way you'll be kept in the loop so you won't miss a thing. Okay, people, so let's talk about Kim Kardashian West, Jeffree Starr, and Jackie Aina. Alright, so I'm going to bring all 3 of these people together because they're all sort of interwoven in this particular topic. But before I say that, let me preface what I'm going to say by saying this. If something's not your business, then mind your business. And this goes to just people in general, because I find it so fascinating, right, how sometimes you'll have men who will talk about women's issues and they have absolutely no clue of what that experience is. If you haven't been a woman, if you haven't been treated like a woman, and know the intricacies of what it means to be a woman, then you cannot speak to that experience in totality. And it's the same thing when you think about, like, very often if I talk about an LGBT issue on my channel, you know, I hear a lot of people of color who are not black, people of color who are not gay, speaking to gay issues. You know, people are saying, you know, well, God this, God that. You know, if it's not your issue, if you haven't experienced that issue, then you have to take the insight, the wisdom from the people who actually do. If they're telling you that that's what that experience is, take that information from them, because it's not something that you can speak to. And the reason I'm saying this is because Kim Kardashian is talking about black people forgiving Jeffree Starr. Kim, you're not black. You're not black. You can't speak to black issues. You don't have that experience. You don't have that right. And I know you sleep with black men, but sleeping with black men is not the same thing as being a black person. 2 completely different entities. So what's happening here now is that Jeffree Starr, who I mentioned earlier, and there's also another, he's a beauty guru, a beauty influencer on YouTube, very popular, has his own makeup line. I mean, he's hugely popular on YouTube. I want to call him androgynous, but I think he's taken it a step further than being androgynous. At this point, Jeffree Starr, to me, is in full-on drag. It's not even androgynous anymore, and I'm not saying that to be judgmental, because I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm calling it like I see it. I don't see him as androgynous, because to me, when you're androgynous, you're sort of straddling the fence of male and female. And Jeffree has clearly chosen a side, and it's definitely not the side of male. So, I would quantify him as a cross-dresser or a quasi-drag queen, whatever that nebulous space in between being, and maybe I shouldn't even worry about the label, because the label really isn't important. He's just, he looks more male than female. I'm sorry, more female than male. I'll say that. So anyhow, he's this hugely successful makeup brand owner and beauty influencer on YouTube. But he has this history of racism that's been following him back from the days of MySpace. So recently, Kim Kardashian released her own makeup line. And so when she was releasing her own line, she invited a bunch of influencers, Jackie Aina being one, Jeffree Starr being another, Patrick Starr. So if you watch beauty videos on YouTube, then you probably know these people. And if you're interested, just Google them or YouTube them, and you'll find all of these people that I'm referring to. So, Jackie and Jeffree weren't on speaking terms, and the reason they're not on speaking terms is because they had some sort of exchange, and within that exchange, Jeffree referred to Jackie as a rat. Now, for those of us who are familiar with the term rat, most of us know that rat typically is preceded by the word hood rat. That is the complete phrasing, the complete colloquialism, and hood is very often associated with minorities and poor. So when you're calling her a rat, to me it seems like you're trying to circumvent the racist component by just dropping the hood and just calling her a rat. But for those of us who are intelligent enough to see between the lines, we can really hear the subliminal message that you were trying to convey by calling her a rat. Because you probably wouldn't have called a white girl a rat. But anyhow, So he called her a rat. Jackie obviously was not a fan of it. She spoke out about it. She spoke out about how she's defended him, how she's tried to move past his racist past and still befriend him. But at this point, she can no longer take up for him. She can no longer defend him because his actions are indefensible. And she basically just washed her hands and said, "Look, I'm done." I think she really took this sort of Michelle Obama approach to it. You know, when they go low, we go high. But for me, when they go low, I go lower. So kudos to her for being able to do that. So she just basically said, "Look, I'm done dealing with this guy." And so even though neither of them are on speaking terms, they were both at Kim Kardashian's launch party. They both, being beauty influencers, are probably going to be at a lot of the same events. So Jeffree, after calling Jackie and Ida, I mean, the backlash was huge. People were, basically having Jeffree Star's dead parties. We're not buying his products anymore. We're not following him anymore. We're not watching his videos anymore. So I think that he started to feel the impact, the brunt of calling her a hood rat. And he decided to make a video where he was apologizing and basically talking about his past and some of the mistakes he's made and talking about how he's changed and he's not the same person, this, that, and the third. Now, I am a person who believes in change. I support change. I support growth because if you ask me, I'm not the same person at 29 that I was at 19, not the same person at 39 that I was at 29, not the same person at 49 that I was at 39, and so on and so forth. You grow, you mature. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you're evolving. So I do believe that people can evolve. But I also believe that even though we can evolve as people, at your core, that the core of your being, who you are is who you are, and that never changes. That never changes. Like me, for instance. At my core, I believe I'm a good person, but I'm also a very spiteful person, and I can admit that. And by spiteful, I mean if you say something that's out of pocket to me, it's not in my nature to not go back at you. It's not in my nature to not come for your throat. I'm using every tool at my disposal. So the best thing that you could possibly do is to not try to agitate that part of me. Now, that part of me lies dormant. It's not something, I don't go around harassing people or bothering people, but I'm not one who is inclined to allow people to bully me. So I'm a fighter at my core, and that's never going to change. I don't care how old I get. I don't care how much therapy I have. It's in my nature to fight back. I'm not a passive person. So no matter what happens in my life, at my core, I may be able to sort of curtail that or suppress that to some degree. But if you push the right buttons, if you put together the right formula, chances are you're going to be able to tap into that at some point, because at my core, I'm a fighter. So I believe that even though Jeffree can evolve beyond some of the things that he may have said and be a more well-rounded and more inclusive person, I believe that at his core, who he is who he is. And that's not going to change. But when who you are begins to influence your bottom line or impact your bottom line, then you can quickly sort of fast forward and take the accelerated route towards growth and maturation. And I think that that's pretty much what Jeffree has done or tried to do. So he made this video, he was apologizing, and basically a lot of people just felt like it was really sort of a lackluster apology, and it wasn't even a genuine apology. It was more so an excuse, more than an apology, an excuse for the things that have happened to him. He was making excuses to sort of give himself a pass as to why he was the type of person that he was, and not necessarily atoning and owning up to what he had done and the things that he'd said. So pretty much everyone, most people of color, especially black beauty gurus and influencers, have written Jeffree off. So in comes Kim Kardashian, and she's released her new line, and she's sort of formed this newfound friendship with Jeffree Starr. And so she's on Snapchat or Instagram, I'm not sure what platform she was using, and she was basically saying that people need to get over it and move on and forgive Jeffree. And now people are sort of writing her off and saying, like, look, I'm sorry, like, bitch, this is not your realm. You are out of bounds here. You have absolutely no clue what it means to be a black woman. So Don't put a timetable on my anger, my hostility. I'll be over it when I'm ready to be over it. This is sort of the underlying message that a lot of people are conveying to Kim, because she, for whatever reason, felt like she was emboldened to speak to what it means to forgive, based on the fact that she sort of has a checkered past. Now, the thing about Kim's past, and that's sort of what she was saying in the video, I have a past, and I hate when people bring up my past and the things that I've done and the mistakes that I've made. But what Kim needs to understand is, A, without those mistakes, no one would know who she was. So your mistake actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. At least financially it did. Also, your mistake was something that was between you and another person. What Jeffree is doing is influencing an entire populace, an entire population of people. So it's a lot different from doing something that only impacts you negatively versus someone who does something that hurts a large group of people. So I don't think that the two are even on the same level. So I think that sort of analogy that she was trying to draw between the things that she's done in her past versus things that Jeffree has done in his past, I don't even think that was really a very accurate analogy to draw. So having said that, you guys, I want to get your opinion. I want to know, do you think that a racist can change its spots, so to speak? Do you think that Kim is right, that we should learn to move on? Because I'm going to tell you something else about race really quick, and this may get me in trouble with black people. But as a person of color, I hate the N-word, and I know I've said this in other videos. I detest that word, and I hate that some black people think that the N-word is so okay that they feel like they can indiscriminately call every black person the N-word. Not every black person is cool with being referred to as the N-word, myself included. I hate when black people refer to me in that, using that word, using that epithet. I just don't like that word. So I'm completely offended when people call me that, even if it is a person of color. I'm not the N-word. I'm not. So, and I don't give anyone a pass on it. I've had discussions with other people when they've called me that, and I'm saying, I'll tell people in a minute, don't call me that, because to me, it's not a term of endearment. To me, it's insulting. So anyhow, you guys, I don't want to go on that diatribe talking about the N-word, because that's the whole other video. I want to talk about what you feel. Do you think that Kim was in her right to speak about this issue? Do you think that what she said was actually had some validity? Because I personally don't. Do you think that Jeffree Starr deserves a second chance, and that we, as people of color, should be willing to forgive Jeffree and allow him to move on and prosper off of our colors, even though he has a racist past? I'm pretty sure you can probably guess what my opinion is, but from this point moving forward, is not about my opinion, it's about yours. So make sure you comment below. I'm really, really interested in what you have to say. And that concludes this episode. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and please share if you feel so inclined. Remember to follow me across all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Also remember, it is better to be pissed off than it is to be pissed on. And it's always, in closing, people, remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. It is me, the Cerebral Diva. I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day, and as always, thank you for listening.